Okay, your midterm is going to be a practice A/B test minus a unit worth of material that is on the A/B test, which you haven't learned yet. Okay, the structure of your midterm will be just like the structure of the regular A/B test that students will take in May. Okay, and it's the same structure as the BC test as well. So you're going to be familiar with the BC test structure when you are taking this midterm. Okay, there are 4 sections on the AP exam, the AB or the BC calculus exam. The first section is multiple choice without a calculator. Second section is multiple choice with a calculator. Third section is free response with a calculator. And the fourth section is free response without a calculator. Okay? You can see the differences between what the actual exam, the amount of questions and the time you have for those questions, and your midterm. So on the actual AP exam, you'll have 30 questions to do in 60 minutes. On your midterm, you're going to have 20 to do in 40. Okay? This first section is the only section where students have a serious problem finishing it in time. Time is a huge issue for the multiple choice no calculator section. It's 2 minutes per problem. It's the first section, so you have to hit the ground running when you're taking the test, your midterm, and when you're taking the actual AP exam. Okay? After that, things slow down. The multiple choice calculator allowed. On the AP exam, you have 15 questions to do in 45 minutes, so that's 3 minutes per question. On the midterm, you'll have 10 questions to do in 30 minutes. What some students think, though, is that, oh, it's a calculator section. That means I'm going to be using my calculator for most of the problems. Actually, no. Maybe a quarter, maybe a third, probably more like a quarter of the problems on the calculator section, you'll actually have to use your calculator. The rest of the problems will just be questions where the calculator cannot help you at all. So this is not just like, oh, it's a calculator, let's start typing in. You literally have to read the question and see whether or not you should or should not use the calculator. Third section, free response questions, calculator allowed. You have 2 questions in 30 minutes. They're typically, 3 or 4 parts. This one, you'll have 1 question to do in 15 minutes. So it'll be 4 parts. For the fourth section, you'll have free response, no calculator. On the AP test, you have 4 questions to do in 60 minutes. On the midterm, you'll have 2 questions to do in 30 minutes. There will be 4 parts for each question. Possibly 3, but 3 to 4 parts. Okay. 9 points are given for each question per free response question. We will go over how free response questions are graded, but while you guys are doing your homework over the most recent units with those free response packets, if you looked at the answers, you can see how the points are distributed. Each part is not weighted equally, like in your differential equations unit. Usually write a tangent line, use it to approximate. That's like 1 point, that's maybe 2 points. And then the actual solving of the differential equation, let's put our phones away, please, unless we're taking notes. The actual solving of the differential equation is like 5 or 6 points, okay? So each part not weighted equally, you'll need to do pretty much the hardest parts, pay the most attention on. It's not partial credit, like writing things down will just give you points. It's really like partial earned credit. If you show steps that you know how to solve the problem, and maybe you make mistakes along the way, you'll get credit for showing, partial correctness is maybe what I should be saying. So the most important part, how are you going to be graded? Well, on the actual AP exam, the multiple choice section is worth half, the free response section is worth half. So you take an average of your multiple choice out of the 45 questions. How many did you correct? You have that average, raw average. You look at the free response, 6 questions, 9 parts, 54 points total. How many points did you earn out of the 54? You look at that average. You take those 2 averages, average them together. That's your raw average. That's your grade, okay? Now, based on your grade, your raw average, you will then receive a numerical score on the AP exam, a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Historically, it has fallen on this type of scaling. That if you got above a 65% for your raw average, you will get a 5. Okay? So if you get a D, you can get a 5. That's a raw average. If you get above a 50, you get between a 50 and a 65, you get a 4. 40 and a 53, 30 and a 42, less than a 30, you'll get a 1. Now, depending on if you get a 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1, I'll give you A, B, C, D, or F. Okay? However, a 5 does not mean you got 100. No, it just means you get an A. So there are different types of A's. If you get between a 65 and a 75, I'll call that a low 5, and I'll give you a midterm score between a 90 and a 94. If you get above a 75, I'll call that a high 5, which is a comfortable 5, and you'll get, yeah, got it. We'll give you a high 5 if you want one after getting a high 5, yes. Between a 50 and a 64, I'll give you somewhere between an 80 and an 89. If you get a 50 on your raw average, well, I'm going to give you an 80, not an 85. Okay, so it's going to fall in those ranges. These were the results last year. The multiple choice raw average was a 67. The free response raw average was a 63. So the overall raw average was a 65, which should be equivalent to like a low 5, but turns out the overall GPA average, it just doesn't kind of match up this way. But you can see we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 high 5s, couple low 5s. For the other section, yeah, students performed well. 3 people got 2s or 1s. Low scores were a 49 for your grade, 70 here for that grade. Okay? How are you going to prepare? This is my suggested preparation plan, and I will provide the remainder of this class period and next class period to do this, okay? But we're not going to be quizzed. I'm not going to lecture you. I have videos, review videos for you to watch, but this is my advice. We're going to start, and you're going to review all of the material. The best way I think you can review all the material is to take a practice multiple choice test, which I have right here. Okay, take this practice multiple choice test. There's free response questions as well, but focus on the multiple choice first, okay? Then, looking at the answers, you can see what you did wrong. Please make note of which ones you guessed on. That way you know that you got it right because you guessed. And on the answer document, there is a unit number that is assigned to each problem. Keep a tally of the units that you struggled on. From there, you are going to watch the review videos if you'd like to, which go over all the material. You can look at old quizzes, you can ask me for help, or you can do extra multiple choice problems from those units in the extra multiple choice packet. So here's a packet of extra multiple choice problems that is separated by unit. It's hefty. I don't expect you to complete them all, but this is extra help. I do not have an answer key for this in terms of all of the work to get all the answers, but I do have the correct answers listed on the website. I have an answer key with how to do all these problems listed. Okay, you're going to repeat that. I will give you another practice multiple choice test on Thursday. Okay, do that, analyze your results, see what units you struggled on, do extra practice problems from those units. Okay, after you do that, that'll be a good review of all of the material. Okay, typically the multiple choice part of the AP exam covers everything. The free response is different. Free response usually covers specific types of questions from specific units. Okay, so after you've spent time reviewing all the material, start working on the practice free response. Now, here is an analysis of the free response questions that have been asked on the AP exams over the last 7 years. Okay, now you can see there are some consistencies. You guys have not learned about areas and volumes yet, so you can remove that. but you can see that every single year over the last 7 years, there's been a differential equation free response. So that's like the last unit, the test that you just got back today. Those free response questions that you had at the end that I gave you a packet for, you could probably expect something like that on the practice AP exam. There's some sort of table problem. Back in unit 7, we had a bunch of tables. I'd say, oh, use this Riemann sum to approximate this. What does this mean? Sometimes there's distance. Sometimes you're talking about the average value, fundamental theorem of calculus, change in whatever. There's typically a function analysis problem. Okay, function analysis is a unit 3 type problem or a unit 7 type problem, where either I give you the graph of f prime and I say where are the maxes and mins on f, or I give you the graph of f and we talk about the maxes and mins of the accumulation function. Okay, so every single year we see questions like that. Then sometimes we'll have rates, growth rate problems, or straight line motion problems. Now, I have the last 7 years of AP free response problems in my folder, the midterm review folder on the Schoology page, including all of the answers. And you can practice all of those, and that will prepare you for the types of free response problems you're going to see on the midterm. The midterm, we are just taking a practice secure AP AB test, and we've picked 3 problems that you guys can do, and that'll be your free response part of your test. Okay, and I would probably say that 3 of the problems are coming from these 5 units. You could be comfortable with that. Okay, on the actual AP exam, sometimes they're curveballs, but if you're prepared for these questions, then you'll be prepared for all the questions everybody else is prepared for. Curveballs are going to affect everybody. Okay, so that's it. What I'm going to give you now is your first practice test, including practice multiple choice problems, as well as your multiple choice packet separated by unit. I'd like you for the rest of this class to finish the multiple choice part of this test. If you don't finish it in class, finish it for homework. And then I'd like you to analyze your results. And somewhere on the front or on the back, write down unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and tally how many problems you got wrong from each unit. Okay? If you'd like to watch the review videos, go ahead and do that. Whatever you want to do to get yourself prepared. On Thursday, I will give you another practice test. And I'd advise you to do those multiple choice problems. We will have one homework assignment. The homework assignment that I will look at Thursday will just be this multiple choice completed and analyzed, okay? That's it. After Thursday, I'm not going to collect anything. It's up to you how you want to prepare. You will notice that this is a lot of review materials. Well, think about how much we'll have for the AP exam in terms of review materials. A lot. We will be quizzing, though, once we start reviewing for the AP exam. I will split up the course into thirds. You'll be required to review each third, and then we will quiz over the third. And we'll split it up just like I'm advising you to split this up. We'll work on multiple choice first, and then we will do the free response second.
Not sure what this is for 11:05.
All right. Oh, E203, yeah. Head up there. Good luck out there. What makes the AP exam hard are not necessarily the questions, not even necessarily the time. It's the fact that the questions are in random order. Okay? You have to be able to understand, oh, this question is this type of question from this unit, and I use this to solve it. Okay? It's the randomness and the amount of material involved in that randomness that is the factor.
So this is the homework.
Yes, your homework is the multiple choice. Okay? If you'd like to start in on the free response, you can go ahead and do that. Listen, let's talk about you know, how the paper companies are using trees that are growing faster and faster and faster, and they have these tree farms that regrow. We're using recycled paper more and more frequently. I'm not concerned about the rainforest, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, a couple trees died in making it. You'll be given another practice multiple choice test on Thursday. All the free response problems to practice are on my website. Really quickly, if you look at my website, just so you're familiar with what to look for. In the midterm review folder, this is your answer document for this first practice test. Notice you will have the unit number at the top. That's how you can tell where it's from. Then here are the free response. Probably this week we'll focus on the multiple choice, and then over the weekend you guys start preparing for the free response. I tell you to skip certain problems. Those are the problems over the material you haven't learned yet. And then if you'd like to watch quick review videos that just go briefly over everything we've learned, you go to the videos of lessons page, and there's a midterm review, three videos, okay? Please use this time to do calculus, not to do anything else. So keep your phones away, keep your computers away. You may listen to music if you'd like, but I do not want to see people actively typing on their phones. I'm giving you this time as a time to do some work, see where you stand without any distractions. Same thing will occur on Thursday.